we're happy to take any questions that you have at this time.
Absolutely.
Do visits like this, do they go into like future funding decisions, or can you sort of tell us about when you make a visit like this,
What is my
the
goal?
key outcome that you're looking for?
Really, my goal is to tell the story of cities and towns and states that people may not otherwise know. The mayor's been absolutely humble in just spotlighting one project, but Rockford is doing phenomenal things through its thriving communities, where we're looking at reinvesting dollars back into Rockford, as well as connecting communities, connecting the east and west side so that entire neighborhoods are brought back together so that we continue to have that sense of community and pride that we've had in Rockford for hundreds of years. It's through churches that like United Brook that are celebrating their 100th anniversary. These are communities and places of our heart. Those are the stories that I want to take back, as well as to be able to understand what are the pain points that we're having. I mean, I may be from Rockford, but I'm not here every day. So tell me what you're doing with the investment dollars that you're getting. We've been very fortunate to have the IRA's dollars that have flown from the president through the state and into Rockford. So what are those dollars? What are those dollars doing for us, and how can we at HUD continue to help Rockford and across the nation thrive? I'm extremely excited when I see things like Orton Keys and Jane Addams. That's huge. That is huge for the city, and seeing just the transformation, because it's more than just a transformation of a building. It's the transformation of cities. It's the transformation of the communities and the lives of people who live in them. At the end of the day, everybody deserves a place that they can be proud of, a place that they want to live in, that they can say, I have the best sidewalks around because now I don't have to walk down the street. Those are the stories that I want to take back so that people know this is what we're doing, that HUD really and truly cares about you, that Assistant Secretary McClain cares about you. That's what the goal of this is.
I'm going to add some interesting things. One, if you are at Rural and Whitman interchange there, we took some time to look out. If you're sitting there and you're, let's say, Tom and Sarah McNamara and a 7 and 8 year old on bikes. What do you say? Hypothetically. It'd be if I could ride a bike. But if you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, we just want to get from here to the river, here to the YMCA. It's incredibly difficult to get there. Without the $7.1 million of reconnecting communities, to which now that will be totally transformed so that it'll be better for pedestrians, it'll be better for cyclists, it'll be better for emergency responders coming from the west side into Swedish American, UW Swedish American. It has so many benefits. We took out 119 homes when we built the Whitman interchange, and we're going to be able to redevelop that space. And re-envision what it is, but also make it much more friendly to get from one area to another. I will also say Assistant Secretary has an amazing team, especially here in our region. So one is to just, again, sit down face to face, and we're now so much on our computers, right? But sit down face to face, continue to build that relationship, and also learn new ideas about different programs that maybe there's some we're really utilizing to our fullest extent, and then maybe there's some that we need to learn a little bit more about, or there's new federal guidelines and ideas that are coming out each and every day. So we want to be at the front of that.
Assistant Secretary, is there anything Rockford needs to know in terms of that regard? Any new initiatives or federal programs that you think could be taken advantage of here that maybe they're not utilizing yet?
I think that, as Mayor and I spoke about this morning, there are a lot of opportunities for Rockford to be able to tap into federal resources across the government. And that is where my amazing team here in the region can really bring to bear the entire whole of government. Last week, the Vice President, as well as Acting Secretary and Taubman, announced $5.5 billion in CPD funds. Those are Community Planning and Development Funds. And they run the full spectrum from how do we take care of our seniors and our aging housing stock? How do we invest in communities so that those communities are not having to reduce their housing stock. They're able to plan economically. How do we do things creatively with the resources that we have available to us? We're at a unique time in our country in the fact that we know that resources can be tight. So how do we make use of those dollars? And right now is that time for us to be able to do so. And I think under the leadership of President Biden and Vice President Harris, we're at a perfect time to be able to do it. We are in a good place with funding, and I know that that's going to make a difference in communities like Rockford.
When was the last time you had come back to Rockford before this?
Oh, gosh. I think the last time I was back in Rockford for an extended period of time was in October 12th, 2020. My father had passed away, and so I came back for his services. And then after that, I've come back like once a year to see my family. My family still lives here, so super proud. My mom's been watching the news all morning and sending me text messages. So you gotta love it. I love her to death. So that was the last time for an extended period of time. But I'm very proud of our city and what the city is doing. It's phenomenal. It's been my home, and I have nothing but fond memories. And I really think the city's under really good leadership with Mayor McNamara and his team, and just really look forward to seeing what continues to happen.
I'm sure it's a stark contrast from what it is now to what it was when you were growing up, right?
There are some things that have changed substantially over the time of me growing up, but the things like Mississippi Park that you can still walk across and not doing the dodge across the exchange. Kind of looking forward to that, and now I don't have to worry about giving people a heart attack trying to do that. But it's been fantastic memories being here in Rockford, then and even now. Rockford is a wonderful place for people to grow, to raise their families, and to really thrive. We really have the potential of being one of the bright, shining spots in Illinois and across the Midwest, and I see nothing but great things for Rockford.
What year did you graduate?
Oh, now you're dating myself. No, graduated in 1988 from Auburn, and then left and went to University of Texas, and
Are you like look up a yearbook photo?
he is going to look for a yearbook photo. That's okay. That's okay. They're all over the place, I guarantee you. My hair doesn't look the same.
You guys spotlighted the $7.1 million that's going to the Whitman Interchange project and the Brook Road improvements. Are there other key pieces of funding that came from either the CDG or something that you think are worth noting?
Yeah, I think, for your readers and viewers, I think one thing, if a resident hears HUD, they think of housing, rightfully so. But we did touch on Brook Road. I think you should also think about employment opportunities. We later on will be going to a local restaurant that is able to get their jump start in their new location because of funding that came down through HUD to the city of Rockford and ultimately to the business. And so there's been a number of different initiatives. We also touched on the work that we're doing in winning the RAISE grant on Chestnut Street, creating the bi-directional bike path, making it more pedestrian and cycling friendly as well.
Just referencing housing, I know you guys have been talking about that as a city a lot with the need for more housing over the next 10 years or so. Is that something you look at HUD for? Is that more of a private thing? Or what do you guys kind of envision in terms of trying to expand housing in Rockford for the anticipated population growth?
Yeah, so I think for us at the city, our study showed that that was out, I believe, 2 Mondays ago now, that there's a need over the next 10 years for 3,000 to 9,000 units based on economic development, and that's taking place. And so I think we're going to have to look at everything. I mean, we absolutely need the private sector. We absolutely know that we're going to need nonprofit organizations and the government to all play a role. We know that in Rockford we need housing at every single category. If it's luxury, if it's low income and affordable housing, we need it all. And so I think that's one thing that's really special is it's not just a figurehead in a really important seat. It's a really wonderful person who happens to know Rockford and has a love and passion for Rockford, and now building these relationships that will just help us down the road.
And I would venture to say that as we look at building housing here in Rockford and across our nation, this is going to take a whole of government, whole of nation approach to being able to do this. It didn't take us, it was not overnight for us to get here. It's been decades in the making. And so now as we look at how do we get ourselves to a position where we have adequate housing stock, and affordable housing stock, and it's changing our mindset and looking at innovative ways for us to be able to have housing, looking to our private sector partners, our nonprofit partners. That's the way that we're going to get this done. HUD is invested in making sure that we can and be good partners, that we are your partners of choice as we look to building back our nation when it comes to housing. One of the things that I would offer is that HUD is more than just housing. We run everything from building community, helping communities build, everything from nursing homes to community centers to storefronts that undergird our economic development, to the banking side of things and taking care of our veterans loans and our federally backed mortgages through our Ginnie Mae Corporation. So as we look to moving ahead in the coming years, I think that HUD is going to continue and will continue to be a good partner to Rockford, and not just Rockford, but to cities all over the country.